Hey guys, it's MJ from Endless RVing. Has your dog ever gotten off leash and you called and they just didn't come back? Today's video is getting your dog to come when called. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Make sure to stay to the end for some bloopers.
Living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's be free with me.
All right guys, how many of you, when you say you're walking your dog or your dog's in a yard or you're at a campground and your dog gets off leash, you're calling, they won't come back, or somebody else's dog is running up to you and they're not coming to their owner when they're being called? Today's video, I'm gonna give you a 5-step method to get your dog to come when called. It's really important. It's a safety issue. This is not the only way to do it. This is the way I do it and what's worked really well for us as a trainer and as an owner. So 5 steps, 4 things you're gonna need to start this process. The first thing you're gonna need is a long leash. A long lead can be, you can get 20 feet, 30 feet. They have all different lengths. It doesn't matter. You can get much longer to work with your dog on the recall. The second thing you're gonna need is a harness. I tend to use a harness that connects in the front. You can use back, whatever. You don't wanna use a buckle collar because if your dog does jerk to the end of the leash, that is gonna hurt them here. Again, really the best thing to use is that harness, and you can hook it in the back. I tend to walk my dog with the dog in the front. If you're gonna do this and you think your dog's gonna jerk, get it in the back, all right? Least amount of chance of being hurt that way. All right, so the next thing you're gonna need, this is really important, is high value food. What do I mean by high value food? Do I mean little training treats that are boring that your dog gets inside the house? No, I'm talking the good stuff. Chicken, hot dogs, bacon, cheese, turkey, you name it. Meatball, sausage cut up in tiny little pieces. This is the good stuff that your dog may not get too often, but we're teaching them that when they hear that word, come, here, whatever word you choose to use, that means come, because whatever they're doing is not gonna be as good as what they're gonna get when they come to you, okay? Also, you wanna use something that it may distract them, okay, as we get into the process a little bit later. Toys, tug toys, balls. I know Sierra, our pit, will go nuts for a tennis ball. So we're gonna use those later to work on getting them to come with distractions, all right? Really important. Most dogs will come in the house if you call them. It's when you get outside on a campground, off leash in a park or whatever, where it's harder for them. So this is where that distraction piece is really key. And then one of the most important things that we're going to need is to make sure that you start in a low distraction environment. Don't expect to get a young puppy and have them come when called outside before they learn to do it inside. In most cases, it's not gonna happen, all right? People say, my dog's not coming when called. Did you teach him to come when called? No, okay, they don't come into the world not knowing how, or not knowing how to come when called. So you've gotta make sure that you teach them in a very easy, low distraction environment first. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start in the house first, okay? Now our dogs are pretty good about coming when called, but we're gonna start in the house first. Then you're gonna add some distractions in the house, and then you're gonna move it usually to a backyard is a good place to take it, and then into a field, an enclosed field or something like that on the long lead. Really, really work on the behavior there. So we have a lot of clients that say to me, yeah, my dog will only come when they see food. That's a training error. If you're calling your dog and you're showing them the food, of course they're only gonna learn to come when they see food. So one of the most important things about doing this is hiding the food. It's key. From the first second you do this, the dog cannot see the food as you're calling them or making a sound encouraging them to come. So you gotta remember that. That is a really important part of the process. So the first step, we're gonna give you 5 steps. Number 1 step is making sure, again, that you start in your home, in a low distraction environment. And again, in your home, but not when a party's going on or not when your kids have a bunch of friends, in a quiet, low distracting environment. That is really, really important. You can have your dog on leash, have one person with your dog on leash, because a lot of times what happens is if you take out food and you put your bag on, the dog comes running to you. You want the dog away. So you can have a partner if you'd like, or just put the dog in a stay. If you would like to put the dog in a stay, then you just walk across the room and then do step 1 there. Have somebody hold the dog on the leash if your dog doesn't have a good stay. All right. So the first thing you're gonna do, pair a sound with food. We're not saying come yet. Dogs don't understand what come means until they start understanding what the behavior means. Okay. So you can do any sound. Some people whistle. I tend to go a kiss sound. You can do a click, whatever works for you. You are pairing that sound with the food. You make that sound, your dog comes to you, and you pay big. We are making an impression on the dog here that when they hear that sound, I don't care what they're doing, they're gonna come flying to you and it's gonna be well worth their time. Again, you're competing with a lot of distractions once they get outside. So you're gonna feed them. You can take a piece of food, say this big, break it into 3 or 4 little pieces. Dogs love quantity. And if you, good girl, good girl, good girl, good girl, when they come to you, give them 4 tiny little pieces, good, do it again. Do that 10 times in a row, all right? Where they start to go, oh, that sound, I know what that sound means, and they're gonna come flying. So that is step 1. Step number 2 is you are going to be out of sight now, making the sound for your dog to come. Again, we have not said the word come yet. We are strengthening that sound cue that your dog, even if they hear that, they're gonna come flying. What's gonna happen now in the third step is we're gonna throw that word in and you'll see how it works. But at this point now, you're walking out of sight. Your dog can either be held on leash by a person or you can put them in a stay if they have a strong stay. Walk out of the room, make the sound. When they come running, which they pretty much will, you're going to feed them again. Feed big. Feed big, okay? Every once in a while too, we're giving them 3 or 4 tiny little pieces. Every once in a while, we use jackpots in training, which can be really effective. Don't use them too much, all right? Sparingly, they can be wonderful. Where your dog comes and you drop just a handful of pieces on the floor where they get this huge jackpot. And if you throw those in every once in a while, they never know what's waiting for them when they come. Again, you're strengthening that behavior where they're gonna wanna come flying to you no matter what, because they don't know what is waiting for them. Step 3, you're going to finally add the verbal cue. All right, at this point now, your dog is hearing the sound, they're coming flying. Again, each step you should be doing a minimum of 10 times, minimum. More is even better. And so you're going to now add the cue. Now the cue can be whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You could say, butthead, and if it's paired up with that sound, your dog's gonna come. So choose whatever word you want. You can use come, you can use hear. Everybody uses different things. I tend to use come. That's what my dogs understand. So you're going to say the dog, again, this is how I do it. I say Sierra or Bowser, come, so name, cue, sound. You line it up like this. That dog knows what the sound means. Now you're just slapping the name in front of it, the cue, and it's gonna line up where then they start to go, oh, come means food, right? Because that cue has already, that sound has already been established. Sierra, come, she comes and gets the reward for coming, all right? It's a really smooth process and it's the best way that these dogs learn exactly what's expected of them. So add in that verbal cue, again, choose what you want, and that is step 3. Step 4, this is where we start adding some distractions. At this point, you've done a lot of repetitions of getting the dog now with the sound, with the verbal cue, come or hear, whatever. Now we're going to start adding some distractions, all right? Let me add though, if your dog does not come when you say it, don't repeat the cue, okay? We call this cue chanting, and your dog's gonna start to ignore you, just like a kid. Mom, 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 mom. You're gonna start to ignore them after a while. If you keep repeating, come, 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 the dog is learning not to come. So you're gonna do whatever it takes to get that dog to come with you. If they're looking at you and they're just not coming, get on the floor, clap your hands, whistle, roll your R's. Dogs love to come to that. If you can't roll your R's, sorry, but that's a really good one too. Whatever you can say their name, just don't say that cue again because you don't want to poison that cue. So one time and then do whatever else it takes. At this point, most dogs will be coming if you've done enough repetitions up to this point. So this next step is adding distractions, right? This is the key step where a lot of people miss, because the dog learns to come inside when there's nothing really going on, but it's that outside, or when there's a lot of distractions happening around, where the dog has to learn to come. You can do this in so many different ways. You can start by having 2 people. You're gonna take that high value food. One person can hold the food in the dog's face. So the dog is trying to get it, but don't let the dog have it. The dog's licking the person's hand, they're pawing at it, doing whatever they can, right? The other person is gonna stand pretty close, call the dog to come, all right? As soon as that dog comes running, all right, the person that had the food is gonna follow the dog, run up to you, and feed the dog. So this is what the dog is learning. Yes, there's a huge distraction here, but if my owner calls me and I come, I'm still gonna get reinforced for that behavior, right? So they're learning to come away from what is distracting them, and we're showing them, but you're still gonna be rewarded for it. This is so important in this process. This is what we call, if you're curious, you training buffs, we call the pre-MAC principle, all right? Your dog gets off leash at a campground and you start seeing somebody else's dog, and you want your dog to come back. You've practiced this distraction step enough that your dog sees the other dog, but flips around when you say, whatever, come, and the dog comes back to you because they've practiced it enough. Don't forget this step and do it over and over and over. You can easily do this step too. There's just so many ways. When your dog is eating dinner, right, and they're in their bowl, call them away and have something even better waiting. If they're eating their Purina dog food, and call them, have a piece of hot dog waiting for them, all right? Constantly, if they're chewing on a bone, call them at home. The more practice that you can get with your dog with distractions is really, really important for them to learn to come outside at that campground, or if they do happen to get off leash anywhere else. Step 5, now you're gonna take all your hard work and you're gonna take it outside. Again, you can start in your backyard. We're gonna show you actually in an enclosed park field area. But I would start this first in your backyard if you're brand new to teaching your dog a recall. Best place to start there, and then take it to a more distracting environment, an environment that the dog is not really familiar with yet. So that would be your next step. Remember to pay big when your dog learns to come outside with high distractions, such as other dogs, a lot of people, etc. Be sure to make a lot of deposits in the recall bank. The more deposits you make, this is what will ensure when you don't have food or other reinforcement, they will still come. They have learned it is such a fabulous thing to come to you that they don't have to be paid every time. For the sake of the video, I did pay every time, but I don't with my dogs anymore for every recall. But I do throw them reinforcements every once in a while, or the behavior will go extinct and stop completely.
Bowser, come!
Bowser loves playing with other dogs, but he has learned the value of coming when called and how well it pays off for him.
Have a good day.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you learned some new tips and tricks on how to get your dog to come when called a little bit better. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, so this is not gonna happen overnight. It does take practice, consistency, reinforcement, and all that good stuff, but just stick with it, and in no time you will have a dog coming when called. If you did like what you see and you're not subscribed already to our channel, we invite you to subscribe, please. Hit that like button, share the video if you have dog-loving friends and campground dog owners that might benefit from taking a look. And also, we have some products listed below through our Amazon affiliate. If you saw anything in here that you think could help you in your relationship with your dog, feel free to use those links. So from Izzy, Jason, Sierra, Bowser, and myself, we'll see you on the road. Hey guys, it's Izzy. Hey guys, it's MJ from Endless RVing, and tell me, share it if you have other dog people that you might feel could benefit from watching this.